So learn to control your state. Your state is very important because it's not only conditions you to living in the present moment, but also your state determines how you're manifesting reality around you. If you're focusing on the positive things in life, you'll end up, manifesting more positivity in your life. But if you're focusing on the negative, you'll find more things to be negative about. So your state is essentially you being in your head, being in control of all your thoughts, all your emotions at any given point of time. It is so hard to always be in state because you have external triggers that trigger you, that trigger your train of thought. Your thought may be wandering from place to place. Like, for example, let's say you're having the best time of your life and somebody comes and you have a conversation with that person. That person triggers all the emotions such as anger, hate, envy, jealousy, and all the pain that you keep holding on inside for such a long period of time. So instead of giving in to that person's words, instead of giving in to the emotions that that person triggers, or any sort of pain or trauma that person pulls out because of the words they speak, sometimes just their presence, instead of getting inside your head, be in state, be in control, total control of your emotions, your mind. And this can be achieved only by constant practice of being mindful of your environment, of your thoughts, of your pain points, and all your decisions on a regular basis. Because we live life in a dope state. We just keep going, roaming around, always consuming. We are not creating. We are beings of creation. We are walking down the street and we see the billboards and letting it run our thoughts. We see the news, we're letting it run our thoughts. We hear the opinions of our friends, our family, the people around us, and we're letting that opinions dictate how we run, how we manage things around us, and how we basically live our life. So instead of letting their words, get inside your head, because it's very hard. Because in society, if you're walking around, in your head, it's so hard to be in control of all your thoughts and all your emotions because there's so many external triggers, as I mentioned. You'll be just walking around, you'll see something happen in the street, and that thing is going to trigger you so much. You'll see something on the billboard that's going to excite you, that's going to trigger you, that's going to make you mad, that's going to make you sad. You listen to a song, and that song triggers so many painful memories. And this usually happens because you have so many emotions or so many hidden, you know, painful things that you kept stored inside for such a long period of time. You have not let go of them. And because you have not let go of them, they just come out to the surface. And actually, that is a good thing. Because at least at that moment, the things that you have hid deep down inside sees the light of the day. You have hidden it in darkness all this time, and some trigger just pulls it up to the surface. And that's a good thing. And when it comes to the surface, instead of dealing with it, you just shove it down deep inside again. This whole cycle continues. This whole process continues again and again and again. So instead of shoving it down, whenever these painful emotions arise, deal with them. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's painful. I know it's not very pleasant to actually go out and deal with all these painful emotions and memories. But if you deal with them, the next time when these triggers happen, you won't experience certain intensity, that same intensity of emotion that you have been experiencing all this time. And when you deal with them, when you let go, you will still find people are trying to trigger you. You will still find moments where your emotions are being triggered, where you are being triggered, where everything around you is trying the best to trigger all your emotions. So what you have to do is practice being in this mindful state. Practice staying in control of your thoughts and emotions. And what I mean by practice is I don't mean to become a monk, shave your head, wear this monk-like clothes, wear orange clothes, and go sit on the top of a mountain somewhere in the Himalayas or the Alps. I don't mean that. Being mindful is just becoming in control of all your senses and thoughts at any given moment. Like you may be walking down the street and you can be mindful at that instant. And what I mean by that is, if you're just walking around in this derp state, going, walking, and thinking and consuming, not creating, not thinking with your own mind, and slowly you just stand there, you stop, you be mindful of what you're thinking, you be mindful of your thoughts, you be mindful of all the emotions that are inside your brain, you be mindful of whatever you're thinking, and then You realize, okay, take back control of the situation, because it's just, you're just moving this automatic state. You're not thinking, you're just walking. You're not thinking how you're walking. You're not thinking how your emotions are being processed at any given moment. All you're doing is you're just going around. When something comes up in the billboard, when something happens in public transport, it just triggers you and you act out of trigger. You're not being mindful. So being mindful is just becoming aware of that situation, of that given moment, and then, acknowledging whatever thoughts or emotions comes up at that given place, and realize and also acknowledge if you're being caught up in any pendulum swings. As I mentioned, there's a whole video that I made about pendulum swings, and now you can identify them. All right, identify if you're being caught up in these pendulum swings or in a negative spiral, because sometimes when you talk to certain people, they're pulling down your state. They're lowering your vibrational frequency. They're lowering your state, and you don't even realize it. It's like you're talking to them, as automatically happens. So realize, be very mindful of it. And very easy technique is breath work. At any given time, you can just, you don't even have to close your eyes. Just take a deep breath in, hold it in, and let it out. And you can do this at any given moment. It just, the breath flow to your brain kind of activates the prefrontal cortex again, because you were so dormant. The prefrontal cortex was so dormant, and you were thinking, acting, and behaving and feeling in this impulsive state, and you just act out of your impulse. You just act out of your decisions. You don't really think or make effective decisions. So what you can do is take a deep breath in, hold it in, and let it out. This time, with that oxygen flow in your brain, it makes it so much more easier to be more mindful and not be in a state of panic. It doesn't matter even if you're in public, if you're in public transport or in public very busy places, middle of the city center, it doesn't really matter, because you have the fear of judgment. What if I take a deep breath in and take a deep breath out? What if somebody judges me? Oh my God, I was taking a deep breath in way too hard. It was way too, audible. Me taking a deep breath in, closing my eyes and letting it out. What if people judge me? I know that fear is there, but let me assure you, let me tell you one thing. Everybody else has the same fear as you. Do you want to live in the derp state as everybody else? Do you want to live, think, act, and feel in that vibrational frequency? Or do you want to elevate your state? Do you want to raise your frequency and raise your vibration? No, that is why it is so mindful to be in that higher vibrational state, and it's easy to achieve. You already know how to shift. The problem you have is staying there. So control your state. Always be mindful about the things that are going on inside your mind, things that are consuming your thought patterns, because it is your brain, it is so smart. It's always thinking about 25 different things at the same time. The many processes in the body is functioning without you even thinking. You are breathing without you thinking. You are, your stomach is doing the digestive activities without you thinking. Your heart is beating without you thinking. And the only thing that you can control, all these involuntary actions, is your breath. And when you take control of your breath, you also take control of the train of thoughts and your emotions and your mind. And it doesn't really matter what's going on externally, irrespective of external triggers and external surroundings. Take back control of the thoughts, because it's so easy, as I mentioned, to get down in this negative spiral. It's all downhill from there. You keep going down, and your vibrational state also plummets and hits this rock bottom, and you'll find it so much more hard to climb back up ever again. And that's why you always find yourself stuck in this pit, this deep emotional pit. One thing leads to another, and the another thing leads to another. And you keep going down, and then you listen to sad music to reinforce that negative spiral. And that listening to that sad music triggers all these sad emotions, triggers all these painful emotions that you're kept inside hidden, and that pushes you and propels you further down into that emotional spiral, hence lowering your vibrational state. And once you're down, once you're in the state of guilt, apathy, shame, it is so much more hard to even climb up to courage. Forget love, forget joy, forget neutralness. It is so hard to even climb up to fear, because fear is higher than guilt and shame. and apathy. It's so hard to get the courage. And you feel you're doomed. You feel like you're the lost cause. So instead of going down that rabbit hole, prevent yourself from going down that rabbit hole by being mindful, by being in control of your emotional state. Because if you are in control of your emotional state, everything else in life becomes so much more easier. Whatever people, because whatever happens, if we experience burnout, if we experience downfall in our relationships, in our personal life, and even in our career, is due to some emotional trigger, because our mind is not suitable. And even when we have this bad breakup, right, we have this emotional distress, your mind lingers on to the thoughts. It's like you can deal with the thought then and there itself, but your mind lingers on to that. It doesn't want to deal with that because it is so uncomfortable to experience this trigger, to experience the fear of uncertainty, of stepping out of the comfort zone and actually dealing with this. So it feels more safe to throw it back. It feels more safe to live in this derp state, not being mindful of the thoughts. Because when you're mindful, if you're mindful of your thoughts, you'll end up finding yourself thinking about these dark, emotional thoughts, and you are scared of all the thoughts that come up or arise in your mind. That's the reason you don't want to take control. It's easy for you to always take control, but the reason you don't want it is because you have the fear of your own thoughts. You have the fear of your own mind. So take back control of your mind and realize how powerful it is. And when you are in control of your state at any given moment, irrespective of any outside triggers or emotional triggers, if anybody else comes to you and triggers the most painful event in your life, you don't get consumed by them. You don't get, you don't indulge in all these negative emotional spiral. You're aware that person is trying to trigger, and then you just let go. Just when you're aware and you're mindful, it is so much more easier to navigate and control these thoughts that arise. And when they arise, you let go of them. And then that's how you start being in control of your state, your mind, and your emotional well-being. And this not only helps you in your personal life, it also helps you in your professional life. Because when you're working, when you're being so professional and stuff, there's always going to be external triggers that always come and contribute to your downfall, your pitfall, and you going down in this negative spiral. So identify them and always be in state. Because if you are in state, the people around you will be forced to come up to your state, to your higher vibrational frequency and communicate with you. It's like at the start, they will try to pull you down to their emotional frequency, to their emotional state, such as anger, shame, guilt, apathy. They'll try to make you feel all the emotions that they resonate with. But when you are vibrating at this higher frequency, higher vibrational spectrum, all these amazing emotions, just love, joy, happiness, neutrality, peace, enlightenment, when you are in that state, they will be forced to come up to that for that given moment, because they know when they're communicating with you in this lower vibrational frequency, you are not going to reciprocate, you are not going to listen to them, and you're not going to give in to their pressure, to their energy field, to their aura. So at that moment, you also gain control of not only your state, but also the people around you, but also the people's emotional state, everyone's emotional state around you. And this is powerful. It's like, in a way, you're also enlightening them, and not only you. And this is so amazing. And there's so many more advantages of being in control of your state. And if I list all of them, this will be like a 4-hour video. But I'll also make more videos on this and break it down even more. So take back control of your life, your state, and your vibrational frequency, and watch yourself become so powerful, invincible, and in control of your life.